Okay, good morning, everybody. It is Allison Livingston and Jen Manley. I'm not going to say your name right. Anyway,
Manili, it's okay. Everyone says it wrong. Gifts of Imperfection.
Gifts of Imperfection, exactly. So we are super excited because we've gotten so many questions. We've gotten so much great response. Over 50 of you signed up for this today, and many more for the WhatsApp group. So we wanted to explain because there are a couple of different pieces. There's Facebook, there's WhatsApp, there's Zoom, again, we want everyone to feel confident, comfortable, and know what the opportunity is and know why they would join. So that's what we're going to go through. So yes. I think we're going to start with kind of why we did this, why we're doing this, why we love Brene and the Gifts of Imperfection in particular. And then we're just going to jump right into questions we've already gotten and go from there.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good to me.
So I'll jump in. And so the main reason Brene Brown, I really credit as saved my life, is that that she helps me take my armor off, that I have lived such a defended life. I want to perfect, I want to perform, I want to please, I want to be all things to everyone I meet. And that is a coping mechanism. It's a protection. It's armor. And Brene says we have to take that off, let it go, so that we can be in real communion as human to human. And that's imperfect, and that's enough. And that's been a hard lesson for me to learn. I'm not very good at it, which is why I need this whole book club, which is why I do all this work, because it's, especially with my children, I'm also a parent coach, and other families, when we are perfecting and doing it right, we're not in raw and real vulnerability. And so we're not really living, the aliveness of the present moment. We're thinking ahead, we're revisiting the past. Did I do it right? Am I okay? We're like all in this judgmental comparison criticism mode. And that's not a fun way to live. And so Brene is so brilliant at really kind of pulling these pieces apart and describing how to do that, what it is, and the Gifts of Imperfection is just one of the best, clearest books. So that's why I'm so glad, and that's why I spend my time doing this. Jen, how about you?
Thank you, Allison. That all of that is so valuable and important. I would really appreciate your willingness to share that and just be, part of all of this, because there's just such a deep wealth of information here. And for me, I kind of bring it back into like there's this story that I have which kind of started all of this whole train of how we're doing this book club now. And it was the moment in which I experienced, as I'm going through Daring Greatly, having Brene Brown's voice in my head, there was this moment that I experienced what it meant to be truly vulnerable, to experience and not shut down, not kind of check out, not dissociate, but really go in and explore what was happening so that I could work on that and it wouldn't keep showing up moving forward. Not that I don't have several other things that show up, but on that particular front, it was that moment of like, oh, this is what true vulnerability means, and this is what it can do for me. And so I knew very quickly, though, I was like, I don't know that I want to do this by myself. And so I really felt like it was important to have a community of people that was also wanting to explore Brene Brown's work. And what does it look like if we're really actually starting to implement these things in action-oriented ways into our lives, not just reading it and then going, well, that was a really great chapter, or that was a really great thought, but how did it just change, and what am I going to do with that information, and how do I integrate those things into my life? And so this was, finding this community was such a great opportunity to go, let's do this together. Let's explore these tough, vulnerable moments and celebrate with each other, or just let each other be in a place in which sometimes we have to cry, and sometimes we have to laugh, and we have to be okay with allowing ourselves to be happy, or, finding the joy and dancing in a goofball way, or being creative, sad, angry, whatever it is. And so that was kind of my thing in the Gifts of Imperfection. As we mentioned in another video, the guideposts really help cultivate the things that I need to explore the things that maybe I get resistant to wanting to be vulnerable.
Yeah. What gets in the way?
Yeah. What gets in the way, and what do I need to cultivate more of?
Yeah, exactly. We could go on and on, but we already kind of did that in Why Read the Gifts of Imperfection Work. So scroll down and find that video, but let's get into the meat of the questions. And I also just want to recognize that Jo was supposed to be here. She's going to be here for the start next week. Anyway, just wanted to say we miss you, Jo, and we're thinking about you. And so Jo and I are on Tuesdays, and Jen leads the Wednesday and is sort of the mastermind of this whole group. What else? What are some other great questions that we've had? I know one is about time zones. And it's a little confusing because we just want to delay. There's two, because everyone's schedule is so nuts, we have two opportunities for the live discussion. So we all read every week, although the first week we're going to start with doing the inventory and the intro. And then we jump on Zoom for a live discussion. And you can see when those times are: Tuesday mornings, or depending on where you are in the world, evening, afternoon, and Wednesday. And so it depends on where you are in the world for when it's going to be, and you get to choose. You can toggle back and forth between the two groups. You can try both. You can do both. If you miss one, that's another big question. I'll go over one and then I'm going to let you go, Jen. The other one that I get a lot is, what happens if I can't make the live meeting? Do I miss out on this opportunity? And no. It is still so rich because it motivates me to read, and I can watch the recordings that are posted in the WhatsApp group. So that's why the WhatsApp function. So you don't miss anything, and we would love you to keep a part. What's one other question that we've gotten before, Jen?
Well, what I'll say is I think it's a question, because some people are like, but what if I don't read, right? Like, what if I don't get to it? Because our lives get so busy. And sometimes, we may get all the way there and it's like, oh, I have this space carved out, but I didn't really ever get a chance to sit down and read. Can I still participate? And the answer is absolutely. I feel like it's really important that, yes, we are going through a book club. Yes, we have a book. Yes, we have a format. Yes, we will primarily be focused on the chapter. But I still think that so many people can just get so much out of just showing up and sitting back, listening. And it doesn't mean that you don't add value to the group, even if you haven't read the chapter, because you may hear something that someone else is talking about in the book and you really resonate. And that means that you have just as much of a voice as anyone else does, as how does that apply to you in your life in that moment? And what do you want to do? So I think it's really important to give ourselves a little bit of a break and say, if you didn't even get a chance to read, we're not sticklers like that. It's like, no, we want you just to be here and be part of the community.
Yeah, because that's really, we create this safe container it's a judgment-free zone, comparison-free zone. It's really the safest place I've found, beside my nonviolent communication, which is my other practice, of really being able to be raw and real, to have a space where I feel safe enough, and it's slow enough, and it's confidential, and that I can practice being vulnerable and sharing some things. It's not my together persona. It's my real, it's my being. And so that's really the gift also.
Right. And speaking of safety, one thing that I want to be very, acknowledge is that because we are talking about shame, and because we are talking about vulnerability, and because we are talking about that, I just want to say, clearly, hey, we're also not therapists and we're not trying to help anyone in that way. However, if that is something that you want to explore, like you're like, something comes up for me and I really feel like maybe that's something I want to start doing, maybe reach out personally to either Allison or myself, and we can recommend maybe a good direction in that way. But I do want to be very clear that in no way are we showing up in any sort, this is not a therapy, this is an exploration on the book club, right? And so we also have to be mindful of how we're showing up in that way. So not everything, we don't want to explore everything in the meetings. So I just feel like I want to verbalize that, because we are talking about such hard things.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. I'm really glad you brought that up. We got a question from Lisa, and she says, are the class options Tuesday or Wednesday? If so, what time in the United States? It says 10 Eastern, but right now it's 12 Eastern. So that's a great question. So yes. This Facebook Live was a chance to do the Q&A, the discussion, the live discussions, because Facebook is not really interactive that I know of besides chat, are going to be on Zoom. And you find out about them by joining the WhatsApp group, so that you can go to the very top, the heading description. If you click on that, you'll get to a Google Doc that has all the Zoom links, all the dates, a whole bunch of information. And so there's these different pieces. There's Facebook Live to kind of talk about this and share posts and the Brene Brown, the richness of her work. Then you sign up on WhatsApp and you get the information, the Google Doc of the links. You also share your comments. That's where we have sort of the discussion part. And then once a week on Tuesday, it starts, I'll just say Pacific time because that's my time. It's at 11:30 Pacific time. I guess that's 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 in the UK. And then on Wednesday every week, it'll be Jen's, which is 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, later in the UK.
Yeah. So, and here's the great thing about the information in that Google is there's actually a time zone converter. So I was like, do I try to handle everyone's time zones, or do I just allow them the opportunity to click a link and they can figure out their time zones? The reason why I put 7:30 UK and 2:30 Eastern in there is really because UK, Joe kind of has, that's kind of Joe's group and she's from the UK. Everything else is in Eastern because that's where I'm from. And so,
which is a great metaphor, because we each have our own perspective.
Yeah.
And where our life experience. And so what's real and what's true depends on your perspective. So I love that as a metaphor.
Yeah. And the other thing is some people are like, but I don't have WhatsApp, or they're just against WhatsApp altogether. And that's okay. I totally understand. So we do have a way for people to sign up via email just to get weekly reminders. You're not going to be part of the discussion, but if you're just like, I just want to show up, not part of the WhatsApp discussion, you'll still be part of the Zoom because you'll get all the information. It's a lot of people are like, but I don't want to give my email and then get spammed. Listen, I'm the one that sends out the emails, which means I'm the one that puts it all together, which means I have so many other things that go on in my life. I'm good to remember to send out one email a week to remind you about the book club. So don't worry, if you give me your email, you will not be spammed whatsoever. You will get one email a week just to remind you with the information that also has the Google Doc in it. So you still get the schedule, you still get all the Zoom links, you'll still get all the things that you can find in the Google document in the WhatsApp. So
that's great. So what are some other questions that we've gotten in the past? We've gone over what are the different parts, the different time zones that we really encourage you to come, whether you've read or not. We all fall behind. We all miss reading sometimes, still show up, because it's really about our life experience. That's what we're doing. We're just talking about life experience and how to, again, let go of our armor which is sort of ingrained in us from when we were young, and how to cultivate these ways of being open and vulnerable. And even when we don't know the outcome, even when we can't, trust that they're not going to judge us or criticize us. And again, that's about them, not me. And just for me, it's really about how to reclaim my emotional flow, because I repressed emotions so much to keep it together. And reclaiming my emotions, I feel so much more alive, and they get me to my unmet needs and my values, so I can live a richer life. So such important work.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody, we can always, if we didn't answer any of the questions in this that you may still have, please put them in the comments and we will answer them, and maybe take a note to put that in for future Q&A, because I think we answered everything that people have kind of struggled with, or whatever. I think the other thing that I think people may either hesitate or question or wonder about is this free? Am I going to be, getting all sorts of spam stuff? Not from us. This is all very free. This is something that we do as a hobby that we're passionate about for us, that we just enjoy doing it. So we won't, yes, the answer is yes, it is absolutely free. Now, someone may spam you, however, but that has nothing to do with us. So set your own boundaries, right? You can always say no and set your own boundaries, is what I'll say. So yeah, for this group, it's no charge, it's free.
And you get out of it what you put into it.
Exactly. We're here to hold space for you. And so however much you want to show up for that, for yourself.
Yeah. And the whole group is here to hold space for each other. I think that's one of the things that's really grown out of my experience, and why is that everyone matters. Everyone has a voice, and everyone has a perspective. So it's not like Jen and I are authorities. We just love Brene Brown, like all of us. And so I think that empowerment of all our voices matter is another part. And there's just such great community and just openness to be real, which I don't get in my normal life. I so feel like I have to posture and impress. And this is a group where no one has to impress anybody. We just get to be. So I encourage you to join and keep asking questions, and check it out. Wonderful. That's it for today, and we'll see you next week, starting either Tuesday or Wednesday. Again, toggle back and forth. You can try either one, you can try both, and see what fits for you. And Chris just entered that she already belongs to the Brene Brown group, but do I have to join again with your latest message, Jen? So that's another good question for people who have been a part of it for the last couple of years.
Well, so for the answer is yes, because the chat is now focused on the current book that we're in. I did at one point try to just have one chat and change the group description and all that stuff, but then we got really full really quick, and I had to kind of restart it, kind of weed out for whoever wanted to continue on. So yes, every single time it's going to be a new chat. So then the people that either, haven't wanted to continue on or kind of just fell to the wayside, we'll have to make a choice to join again.
Yeah.
So every time is going to be a choice to
you opt in again.
You're opting in again for the latest book that we're on.
Which is a great question. And when you do get into the WhatsApp group, we would love you to tell us your name, where you're from, and just what you're looking to get out of this experience. Because again, it's community building. We trust more when we know each other. And so that's what the Zoom sessions do. And that's just what I love, is getting to know people from all over the world. It's fantastic. So Great questions, everyone. And we'll see you next week. Please do go to the other piece, which if you'd like to, it's an invitation to go to brenebrown.com and the Gifts of Imperfection Hub. And there's a Wholehearted Inventory. We've put the link. If you haven't done it in a while, do it again, because I know I find I shift. And it helps us know where we have more strengths in which areas of the 10 guideposts and where we need to focus maybe first. And that's really helpful information to me. And I thought it was pretty fun. It takes maybe, 10 minutes. And again, it's all this interpersonal, how to be a good human. So enjoy doing that, and we'll see you next week.